Hi, this is Brent with Production Expert, and today I'm going to be giving you a general overview of a brand new update to Arturia's beloved V Collection, which is now V Collection 8. So in this update, we've got some updates to two of the previous instruments, which is the Jupiter 8 and the Stage 73, and we also have the addition of three new virtual instruments or soft synths, which is this emulator, a vocoder, and finally a Juno. As well as all this, there is an update to Analog Lab that is also included in V Collection 8. So the previous instruments of the Jupiter 8 and the Stage 73 have updates here within the Advanced panel, as well as if we hit the cog on the side, all of the instruments now have this new sort of configuration and look and panel to them, and it means that it's a little bit easier to learn and to map things to your MIDI controller and also to work with macros as well. So we've seen some of these macros in stuff like Pigments, but now they're bringing them to the V Collection 8. So in the settings here, we just have a global settings. And then if we go MIDI, you can see I have a Keylab Mark II, and it's worth noting that these work really well with existing Keylab controllers. I'm actually using one right now. And as you can see, everything's pre-mapped, but I can change all of the MIDI configurations. And then we can set up our own macros here. Within each preset, you have macros at the bottom now. So all of these control multiple parameters within the synth. So as we turn them, you'll see it's controlling multiple sliders here on the Jupiter itself. And the final update to the advanced panel is this tutorials pane. And when you click on these now, you get a little lesson with notes, and it teaches you what each of the controls does. And this is really nice if you didn't grow up with the hardware, because it means that new producers and sound designers and artists coming through can learn what made these hardware so iconic. And it's a great way to just learn synthesis and sound design. So there's the update to the Jupiter 8, the main updates, and it's a similar story for the Stage 73V. We still have the stage and suitcase models here, and we have our effects panel, if I pull it down, just like before. But then if we go to our advanced tab, we have a little bit more optionality over things now within stuff like the pickups. And again, on that cog at the end there, as we can see, we can set up our MIDI, our macros, and also tutorials again on features within this model. So let's take a look at some of the brand new instruments here in version 8 and listen to some of the presets. It's worth noting that we now have a new way to look through all of our presets. Just like before, we have this option here with the drop-down menu, but if we select here, we have a sort of new user interface, which is a really nice way to navigate all of these fantastic sounds, and we can just search for them as well. So let's have a look at some of the new sounds that come with these presets. And on the Emulator 2V, if we hit screen, or if we actually hit the screen here, we can go into the module and we can make some adjustments and really make this our own unique sound. A nice thing with this Emulator 2, which is similar to the Mellotron, is we can bring our own samples into it. So we could hit browse here, and then we could go into user and load some of our imported sound design. So that's really nice. And it also comes with all of these pre-existing samples in the library, which is great. We have a lot of expandability here within parameters that we can change, and we can assign them to different regions of the keyboard for different samples on the left here. And once again, we have effects, which is now a given with all of these Arturia synths. If we move on to the vocoder, it's a similar story to the emulator. We can bring in our own samples, which is fantastic for the vocoder, because it means that if we hit the advanced panel here and we go to the voice input, we can see the frequency range which it's been occupied, and we can adjust our modulation and effects parameters. But we can also go into the sample player, and here we can completely change the length of the sample, the type of sample, and we can import them onto different keys as well. So we can have a lot of control here over the vocoder, which we would never have had in the past, which is great. So let's have a listen to a couple of the sounds from the vocoder.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
And again, nice navigation panel. Let's have a look through some of the bass sounds. And let's have a little look at some of the sequences. If we go in the advanced panel as well, we can see what's happening. So each key here is triggering a different sample when I play it, and I can keep adding and I can do more to this and create my own samples, which is great. And finally, the Juno 6V, which is what I think everyone has been waiting for. So this beloved synth hasn't yet to appear in the Arturia V Collection in the past, and we finally have one, and it sounds really, really good. Let's have a listen. Let's have a look at some of the bass sounds. And if we head over the pads, we're probably going to be able to find some of the classic Juno sounds, like this iconic strings, and we have our beloved chorus here. And again, if we go into the cog on the left here, we can learn this synth while we're actually programming it. So it's telling us here about the digitally controlled oscillators, what they do, the different waveforms. So it's a really great way to expand upon these fantastic software emulations, is to actually teach them within the software. So you can learn everything about these synths as well as own them and create your own sounds. So I hope this has been useful. To summarize, we have 3 new additions to Arturia V Collection 8. And we have 2 updates to Stage 73, the Jupiter 8, and all of the previous instruments from V Collection 7 and 6 are included in V Collection 8. So in total, we have 29 different instruments now.